no, not again.
Yeah, I gotta reload this.
Is your internet working better?
It's working.
I was just saying, you're fine right now. I just figured I'd ask. Yeah, it's fine here right now. You're all good.
There we go. Looks like we are now finally live here. Some issues once again. For some reason, YouTube has just been getting a little wonky on me lately. Normally it starts up right away, but did not start right away. Unfortunately, you guys missed the first 20 laps, but I will tell you that you haven't missed anything, as we've had pretty much pack racing right here at the front of the field. The top 17, kind of actually top 16, kind of stretching out here a little bit. Brandon Mir at the front of this field. It was John Garrett and Todd Merkel on the front row to start this thing, and they are still right there in second and third. No cautions, nothing to speak of. So, well, I guess we'll kind of restart this thing. Carl Hamwork in the booth, joined by Tyler Skozen, and we're looking at New Atlanta here tonight. There's basically two different versions that the drivers can race here at Atlanta. One of them being the older one, a little bit older pavements. This one here tonight, they're at the new paved Atlanta, and this thing can run like a super speedway, Tyler.
Yeah, definitely could. It's not like your typical super speedway that you see every race here, as now we have a double file pretty much every row back here, but yeah, it's not like the typical Talladega or Daytona that you'd expect to see. Drivers are going to have their challenges here. I mean, it still looks like a traditional mile and a half. It's just, it races completely different. It's a full-on super speedway, pack racing like we're seeing. There will be some driver strategy going on right now as well, but right now these drivers are doing a pretty good job running very orderly, a double file here, 23 laps in.
I'm aboard here with Len McNeese, give you an idea of what the outside line looks like here. They do stick to the track pretty well here in these next-gen cars, but certainly a little bit of dancing around here. It's a new, fresh pave, but it's not without its bumps, especially we mentioned before the broadcast actually started. Turn 1 and Turn 3, entering that is a little bit bumpy. We've even seen some guys kind of get a little wishy-washy on the quad oval on the front stretch, and all it takes is one guy to have one little mistake here in this field, and just like a super speedway, you can have the big one here in Atlanta.
Yeah, you definitely could. It's just like every super speedway, it's inevitable. You never know what could happen here. But I mean, you see it here. You see constant bump drafting. You see it with the top two there on the bottom lane, allowing the outside to get away a little bit. So drivers are going to have to continue to stay just as orderly right now. But you can see that top lane's getting good momentum. But the 33 and 66 right now doing a really good job bump drafting. Garrett there leading the bottom right now, trying to take the lead back here from Larson as well. But right now, they're being aggressive. There's a little bit less than 100 laps to go right now, but there is still plenty of racing to go here with a little bit of blinking there from the 6 as well. But hopefully that doesn't continue, because when you need to continually bump draft right now, you're going to need to keep that momentum going to keep your position.
Yeah, Garrett used the outside line to get around Brandon Mir and get himself into the lead there on that bottom line. And it seems like the guys on that bottom line are just kind of riding along, or just kind of being comfortable. And I think a lot of them maybe just kind of hanging back there and saving fuel. I mean, of course, you want to be leading this pack just like a super speedway race. If you're leading it, less chance of you getting caught up into something, but you're also pushing all that air. You're also eating up all that fuel. So you got to be really wary about how much fuel you're burning. And as well, the guys behind, you see them giving plenty of room. They are bump drafting here and there, but you don't want to get that engine overheated, as it can end your night very quickly.
Yeah, definitely could as well. So there's plenty of factors going on right now. Something you've seen in real life right now, including fuel saving. That's what a lot of these drivers behind the two leaders of the outside and inside lane right now, that's what most of these drivers are probably trying to do. Maybe the guys mostly in the mid or back of the pack, as the 07 slides up as well in the back. But yeah, they're probably not running perfectly full throttle right now, trying to save a little bit of fuel because there's plenty of race to go. We'll see how pit strategy ends up here. But when you have big separation between cars, like you can see there on the outside and further back on the inside, that just disrupts so much momentum each lane gets, and you can see it. It's hurt the Larson from trying to take the lead on the outside because of how disorganized the outside lane was there. And now that they're kind of back in the lane here, they got the momentum. They're staying constant throttle right now, which is good. But again, you might have the guys further in the back trying to save fuel, and that could be affecting the drivers up front trying to get the lead away.
Dalton Kilroe, your points leader and last week's winner, started back there in 17th, but he's already worked his way up into the top 10. You see him right there on the outside, trying to make the pass on Justin Lewis, himself up into 7th as he's been involved in this pack. And now we got the 33 down on the apron here. Looks like, again, he was up there leading quite a bit at the beginning. And now our first entrance into pit lane, and right about at that quarter wave mark. So could be looking at a 3 pit stop race here, and maybe Brandon Muir just trying to space it out nice and evenly.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, just like you mentioned, obviously, as you're leading the race, you're going to be burning more fuel. It's pretty obvious. Gordon Larson there, who has been leading, has been burning it. As you can see, the 66 bringing it in as well. So that tells me nobody up front was really trying to save fuel at this point because of the, I guess, the size of the fuel tank. So not really any reason to save at this point if we're going to have multiple pit stops. Just run it to your limit, try to get the track position, because that is another thing that's super important. Being up front, I mean, some drivers think that staying in the back, avoiding wrecks, that's a personal strategy that I like to do, but staying in the back, just waiting for a wreck to happen would be nice. But what if there is no wreck and all of a sudden you lost your track position and it's so hard to pass with how big these packs are? You're not going to be able to get back to the front as easy. So it's definitely very good to get up front and stay up front as long as possible, no matter what the fuel or wrecks could happen, because you never know. They're anywhere. It could be one tiny mistake, or it could just be a huge driver error.
We'll see the top 2 end points right now, just vice versa here as Joshua Divers in the lead right now, but now Dalton Kilroe, your points leader, pushing on the outside to try and get up towards the front. Eric Blunt dives down to the bottom, as does Divers, so they're going to be coming into the pits. It seems like anytime somebody gets to the front of this pack, they're happy leading a lap and then diving down into pit road. Haven't had any incidents yet. Not necessarily the toughest pit road to get into, but when you're coming down off the track at 180 miles per hour, that's why you see these drivers kind of dropping down as they're getting into turn 3 or just before turn 3 to really have a nice, safe, clean entry, because if you're waiting until turn 4, especially if you're marred in this pack right here, it can get really sketchy.
Yeah, exactly. That's something Talladega and Daytona are obviously known for, because of the huge entry that they have to pit road. If you in turn 4 there and all of a sudden you break right in the middle of the pack, there's a big wreck, and that probably just screwed a bunch of people who were on pit road, maybe just went a lap down, who knows. So yeah, it's definitely much smarter for these drivers to pit in turn 3. It makes it a lot more organized. So you can see these top 3 leaders are probably going to be bringing it in this lap here, but it's all going to be about trying to gain as much time as possible. And that's the other thing. Don't want to pit by yourself. Even though it's Atlanta and not the same as other super speedways, you still want to have a drafting partner, because once you come out of pit road, you're going to want to keep up in that draft. As a big ascend there. One car in the grass, Mike Hasty there. Looked like he overcooked it.
Garrett Dayton doing a little bit of the same thing as well.
Yeah, so that's just drivers trying to make up. I mean, they were a little bit further back than these leaders, so they're just trying to make up as much time as possible. There really is, I don't think there really is a set, entry lane to pit road, as long as you get below the line at where pit entry speed begins, you'll be just fine. But yeah, they were just trying to make up as much time as possible here. As Pacelli there has his draft, actually has 2 drafted partners, so that's pretty good right now, and should be looking good to get back up front.
Yeah, Pelesci was in the back of the pack when they came into the pits, but he had a phenomenal pit stop, and it's going to gain him all the way up to 3rd place. Dalton Kilroe having a great pit stop along with Todd Poston, but they are going to get Freight Train here on the backstretch. Right there, Pelesci and Lewis stretching out to the lead right now, and surprise, surprise, pit stops shaking up that big pack that we had to begin with. We had 17 drivers in that pack. Now all of a sudden, we've got a 2-car breakaway. It looks like 3rd and 4th trying to hang along right there, not too far back. And if they work together, Kilroe and Boston, they can possibly reel in Pelesci and Lewis. But Brandon Muir, before this thing started, he was up there in the lead, and all of a sudden he is back in 5th and almost 2 seconds off the leader.
Yeah, and that's also kind of really dependent on when drivers decide to pit it, and obviously kind of how we're seeing it, who pitted with them. And having 4 cars in this draft is very strong. A lot of speed, you can keep up, and it's good that he's leading the pack here because he was one of the fastest cars and he was one of the best drivers to be leading this draft to try to get around every other driver. But yeah, like you said, he is a little bit more behind, about 2 seconds, although he is slowly starting to gain time. So now it's just going to be about staying focused, making sure that you are hitting your mark, staying in your line, making sure you guys all in that draft of 4 have constant momentum. You don't lose it, because if you do lose even just a tiny bit of momentum from just one small mistake, that'll kill all your progress, and then you got to redo it all over again. Once everyone's back up to speed, then you'll be good to go right now. But if we have any battles up front right now, that could also help these guys. So mainly looking at the battle between Poston and Meyer there, about 1.3 seconds. And I think once Meyer can get about, I'll say, 6-7 tenths back, he'll have the slip for the draft and he'll be back in it.
Well, that's exactly what third and fourth did to get back up to the front here. You see Tim Lee just kind of hanging on there back and fifth in line there, but he is 1 lap down. First car 1 lap down, but our top 2 breakaway is now back to a 4-car breakaway at the front. You got Alessi, Lewis, Kilroe, Poston in this little 4-man tandem, and then you got the 1.1 back to Brandon Muir, but he is on the move here. He is starting to reel him in. You see him just catching now the back tail draft of Tim Lee, and these 4 will be right there. Now, again, mixed in this group is Michael Eden there in the 8, and the 38 there of Hilton Young also going to be going to lap down. So we have a few lap cars mixed in here with the drivers, and you see Mir trying to go around, or at least thinking about going around Tim Lee, but the question is, do you want to? I mean, he was out there, he was leading, and he was one of the first ones into pit lane. He made it to the quarter-way mark, and it doesn't look like anybody got anywhere close to 40 laps. So I think everybody's on a 3-stop strategy, but the more you burn, the more you got to take on that last pit stop.
Yeah, so when you talked about, what should he have taken this run, and I definitely think it was smart that he did, even though they have a bigger lead draft that was in front of him. You're definitely going to probably want to take them, because what I've always lived by a motto is that when you're at a super speedway and it's maybe closer, no matter where you are in the race, really, if you have a run, take it. And if you have like a gap to, fit through to get that race car close to the front, absolutely take it right now. And that's what you can see right now with Lewis trying to make it, but Mir right now getting to the outside right here for P2 right now, and you can see it's been doing really well. Him and the 66 have been drafting very, very well, even though they have no other help, which is kind of amazing, but they're doing a really nice job there with P2, and Mir's doing a really good job of even doing slight side drafts. I like it there, especially on entry and on the backstretch right now. So he's doing a really good job, and it's put him into the lead.
It almost seemed like the 07 there of Lewis was trying to go up there, not necessarily to look to go 3 wide a couple times, but almost to try and side draft and kind of suck that 33 back a little bit and slow down that run, but it didn't work. It didn't work whatsoever. And we've got the new leader, same as the old leader, the 33 back to the front, and now the 66 of Garrett trying to make that outside line work. He's got Tim Lee, lap car there in 17th right behind. And it's pretty amazing. We've only got 16 cars on the lead lap. We had quite a few drivers getting penalties on that first pit stop. Obviously, we've seen Mike Hasty and Hemi Gherardini going through the grass. They got 40-second time penalties. Also did Mike Rideout. He also got a 40-second time penalty. So that's why they are marked back there in the back half of this field, 1 lap down. But it is starting to pick up here. It's starting to get a little bit more busy at the front. We got 7, or top 7 at least, all within 3/10 of a second of each other, and then you got another 2.3 back to Eric Blunt, who is leading the second back.
Yeah, so this is at the point of the race where I've gotten many complaints in super speedway races. It's so early. Why are you racing so hard? Why are you racing me so hard? Why are we going double file? Because it's a super speedway. Who really cares? You're trying to get up front, trying to get to lead, and that's what I'm alluding to earlier. You want to be up front as much as possible, no matter where wrecks can happen. You just want to be up there because, something weird could happen. Maybe there's a wreck behind, and sometimes being the leader can be the best spot. And that's right what we're seeing with Garrett leading right now here. So it's pretty good, but we'll see if this pack eventually can catch up. They got a lot of time to make up here, about a second and a half, which it's not out of this world. They definitely could still do it. But like I said, if they can get 7 or so tenths back, even just, I mean, you can see right there with the lap times. I mean, the guys behind are doing pretty well right now when it comes to lap time. So they are very, very organized, doing a very good job of the drafting here, and then they'll be in this lead back, no problem.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. It just takes a little bit of battling, a little bit of side by side from the group that's up front there, the top 7. Just battling a little bit side by side, not even, getting rough with each other, but it's enough that you get a few cars linked together like they have right here. And at one point, when we checked in with them, they were 2.6 behind the leader. Now they were only 2 seconds behind the leader and only 1.2 behind Brandon Mir. So they are reeling in this front pack, and it's going to go from the top 7 guys pretty quickly to the top 12 here. So real fun. It's real fun racing here at Atlanta. It can get a little stressful though, because although it's like a super speedway, it's not as wide as a super speedway. It's not as wide as your Talladega. It's not as wide as your Daytona. So it gets a little bit tighter, and the super speedways where you can go 3 wide and still feel like you have a little bit of room here. Sometimes you get a little bit dancy with 2 wide, and it feels like it's a lot tighter.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to something that I highlighted a lot earlier that I think some people missed here. But one of the things that is really unique about this super speedway racing is at Atlanta is that handling really does matter. And sometimes it doesn't matter at Daytona or Talladega because banking is so steep, you're just running wide open, and you just got to time your runs right, and you'll be back up front. But at this racetrack, because of how narrow it is, and 2 parts at this racetrack that could be really sketchy, that is a bump in turn 1 and a bump in turn 3, because it kind of pops up out of nowhere. Sometimes drivers don't expect it. If you bump the lead car in front of you in the wrong spot, I mean, it could be an issue for them here. So I mean, you don't want to lose the draft. I mean, we've seen drivers lose the draft a little bit here. But if you do and your car is not handling well, I don't really see a way that you'll be able to get back with the lead draft unless you have something wild go on. So these drivers are going to have to continue to watch handling and even their tire wear, because it might not be the biggest factor, but just a little bit, it will probably be slightly important, because I've had it, happen at that Atlanta Super Speedway before myself right now. So it'll be pretty interesting to see here how that managed to go right here. Well, I'm with Michael Pratt. I love that. That is genius. I love that.
I mean, I didn't even know that was on the back until I switched over to this nose cam. Perfect. the Toyota.
Great.
Very nice. Very ingenious there for Todd Boston.
You see, I am a Star Wars fan myself. Well, kinda, I can have my whole debate on all the movies, but I won't discuss that right now. But if that were me seeing that, I'd probably be laughing a lot right now behind the wheel. I wouldn't be able to take things seriously. But it looks like the pack right now has grown a little bit. It looks like it's going to be about the top 12 here right now. All single file right now. Well, almost single file here.
You were saying?
Yeah, I was saying. But Brandon Mir, he's been aggressive all night. He wants to be leading us in the wall a little bit.
She's getting the wall there a little bit.
Yeah, but they're all right here. But Brandon Mir, I love what he's trying to do. He just wants to be up front. He does not care. He does not want to stay in a single file draft. He wants to be a leader.
We're getting ever so close to our second round of pit stops here, as we are already on lap number 55 and getting close to that 60 lap mark. It'll be the halfway and the start of the second round of pit stops. But top 10 is John Garrett, Dalton Kilroe, Todd Boston, Michael Pratt, Andrew Pileshi, Eric Blunt, Justin Lewis, Brandon Mir, Todd Merkel, and Tim Williams. And we noticed I said Michael Pratt. He is back in the field here tonight. He did start in the back, but lo and behold, he started in the back like he normally does, but already up there, up 16 spots, starting back there in 21st. He's into the top 5. He is outside right now, but John Garrett leading the way right now. Dalton Kilroe looks like he's just content riding right now in second place.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably more of a little bit of a fuel-saving game by the drivers behind John Garrett right now. Yeah, they're just not wanting to make any aggressive moves. They don't want to take a chance of maybe some mistake that might come their way. So they're just going to focus on bump drafting a little bit on the straightaways here. You can definitely bump draft in the corners, especially with these next-gen cars with how straight the rear bumper is, so it's a little bit easier to push in the corner, especially compared to the Jet 6 car. But you definitely can, but they're just going to continue to ride around until Brandon Mir or somebody on the bottom is going to continue to start to get that bottom lane rolling.
Well, I guess that leads me to my next question. We've seen, you know, in the first run, we've seen the bottom line work really well. Now in this second run, we're seeing the top line work really well, but I really feel it's just who has more people in their lane. I mean, is there really, you know, one lane or the other that is actually better at this point? I mean, if you had 10 cars on the inside, 10 cars on the outside, is one necessarily better than the other?
I mean, it kind of depends on what is going on in the race. I mean, most of the time, when we're at a super speedway, drivers are trying to be a little bit more careful, maybe doing a little fuel saving. I mean, the fastest lane around a racetrack is always the top lane because that's where you're going to be able to carry the most speed. Sometimes it's not as easy, but this kind of right here coming up with a lap car there, having to make the drivers all go to the bottom, kind of changes their plan a little bit. But yeah, but the top lane is always going to be the fastest way, no matter what racetrack you're at. But the drivers are going to do that to keep as much momentum as possible. Drivers on the bottom, they're going to try to get it going, but again, it's going to be all about making sure that they're organized, that they are timing their draft runs right, and as well, make sure they have enough people in the line, like you mentioned earlier. So, yeah, the top lane is definitely going to be most dominant for a while, but that's always the middle portion of the race. Once we get to the end of the race, it's going to be any lane, who knows?
And it's going to be a place where, like you said earlier, just like pitting, you need to make friends out here. One way or another, you need to figure out who's going to be your friend, at least for the next maybe 50 laps or so. I mean, once it gets to 10 laps to go, I think the gloves are pretty much off at that point. But we have reached the halfway mark here at Atlanta. 60 laps left in this race, and it's worth mentioning. 3 races to go here for these boys here at VVR. You got tonight, you got next weekend in Indianapolis, and then the season finale at Iowa. Certainly, Dalton Kilrow looking to close out this season strong, looking to close out the points battle before we get to Iowa, as he comes in here tonight with a pretty sizable lead at 63 points over Joshua Divers, and then his teammate Derek Paulson not in attendance here tonight, going to miss a little race here, so could very well fall out of third place there, as Len McNeese is in the fight here tonight. We'll see what the 84 can do, as he's stuck right now back there in 15th place. But it's been all Dalton Kilrow for quite a bit of this season. 5 wins on the season. He won last week out. Excuse me, when we were at Darlington, and looking like he's pretty racy here once again, right behind John Garrett in second place.
Yeah, and obviously I just saw, I can see it there on the leaderboard here. Pit stops have begun right now. I believe it was Brandon Mir was the first driver that came down pit road. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. He came down all by himself, no help whatsoever. So how will that affect the strategy now? Because now he's got nobody to draft with, nobody to keep pace with. So he's just got to hope, I guess, run smooth laps, maybe catch on a draft of John Garrett right here, anybody else that'll come down pit road. So he's going to need to be absolutely perfect, but I mean, it's going to be a tall order. So I don't know if he'll be able to stay in this draft. It'll be tough. It's better to obviously have a partner with you, and that's what we saw with John Garrett. He had somebody with him. So we'll see how the rest of these pit stops cycle out, as we are now just over halfway.
Well, you seen it last pit stop, last go around, when Brandon Mir pit first, and he came back out. He came in as the leader, and he came out, and he had to try and fight back. So we'll see if that happens again here. But good racing so far from these boys. It's been caution-free since the beginning here. Dalton Kilrow leading right now, but pit stops are certainly underway.
Yeah, they will continue to be underway here. We have a good bit of cars still out there, so pretty interesting that most drivers have continued to stay out here. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they've just managed to save a little fuel. Some of these guys obviously have been on that outside lane the whole time, so they're probably just pretty much confirming what I've been saying, pretty much, that they were saving a little bit of fuel here early in the race, trying to run single file as a lap car. They're kind of getting in the way there on the bottom here, but they're going to continue to run not side by side, single file right now, just trying to gain as much speed, and hopefully when they do come down pit road, based on the amount of speed that they have just running single file, that maybe they'll be further ahead on their competitors, and all the guys that did pit are going to need to make up some time. So we'll see what the difference will be like once they pit.
Well, I think that big difference I'm looking at right now is you got guys like Brandon Muir pitting on lap 61, Tim Williams on 62, you got John Garrett and Michael Pratt on 63. These drivers that are out front right now, Dalton Kilroe, Todd Posset, pit on lap number 35 last time. So if they can do that again, they pit on lap number 70. That's a good amount of laps that they're getting over these other drivers. Now, I will say that some of these drivers are taking a set of tires on this last pit stop. We had a few that came in, like Michael Pratt, John Garrett, that did not take tires still, but you know the tires are in there, and they only have so many sets of tires, so they're trying to be frugal with them. But it looks like our leaders are now going to come in here on lap number 68. So still, I mean, you know, 5-6 laps longer than some of these other drivers out here. I think that may pay dividends if this thing stays green.
Yeah, it definitely could here, and pitting for tires is something that'll definitely need to be keep track of who decides for that. But also the good thing for these guys like Dalton Kilroe right now leading this race is that they've run longer, like you said, 5-6 laps longer than other drivers that on their last pit stop, they might be able to take a little less fuel. So that could be beneficial to them right now, getting off pit road a little bit quicker. But you can see all these drivers who are already on pit road are going by at full source. So we will see where these guys blend out compared to Boston Kilroe right now, who are just exiting pit road right here, and now these guys are on the straightaway.
Yeah, it is Michael Pratt and John Garrett now leading in the way and trying to stretch their legs out here. They are a good sizable amount ahead of the next car in line, which right now looks like it's gonna be close to Todd Poston. It looks actually, no, he's falling back here a little bit, so it could be Dalton Kilroe, who is it's about 1.8 seconds back, and we've seen that before. We've seen the guys, you know, 2.6 seconds back, and they get linked up with a few others and make that charge back to the front. It looks like Kilroe just kind of falling back here a little bit, grabbing Andrew Peleschi and Justin Lewis here, and now these three will most likely tandem up here and try and make their run at Michael Pratt and John Garrett. But again, you know, you have top two guys did not take a set of tires just yet. They are out there with used tires, and it looks like they also have the 19 there of Cade Green tagging along with them to make them a 3-car breakaway. Excuse me, but quite a few in the top 10, and really from third place all the way down to 11th place, taking 4 tires on that last pit stop. So we'll see what tires do here. I mean, we mentioned that tire wear could be a factor here. Haven't really seen it come into play just yet. It seems like they are a little bit faster. I mean, we see some guys in the 29-second range right now. Your leader's just over 30.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue to keep an eye on the tower right now of time. So these top two, like you said, have not taken tires, and everybody else behind pretty much has. And Dalton Kilroe has been one of, if not the fastest car here so far tonight. And he currently, as you can see right there, he's just about 2/10 faster than the leaders right now. So tires are paying a little bit of a dividends. Obviously, them getting around that lap car didn't help them either, so that killed the momentum just a little bit. But now he's on the tail of this pack, so now we have a pack of 4 here leading. But the guys behind, you can see they're running fast. I mean, look at these fastest laps compared, and they're going to be there in no time. It's good. It's going to be less than a second here within a lap now. So these drivers are going to continue to push as much as they can to get away. But the Kilroe, Peleschi, and Lewis, I mean, they're right there. They'll be here in no time.
And those greens, I mean, that they are the fastest lap that they have run for the entire race so far. Those are personal bests here for the night, and they are certainly right there now. And now it is looks like about 7 or 8 cars involved here, but only 5 of them are for position. You got Cade Green and Hemi Gherardini mixed in with these cars, and now you got 2 more that the leaders are going to be coming up on here very soon. But the top 5 are the ones that are breaking away, and seeing Andrew Peleschi really blinking out quite a bit there, and
Oh boy.
throwing a bunch of sparks as well. Not sure what is going on with the 81. I'm scared to kind of be on him right now that he doesn't check out, but that's kind of crazy. I don't think I've seen a car have this much issues for this long. I mean, am I missing something here, Tyler?
I mean, unless literally in a span of 20 seconds, like the side skirts just went further down on the race car and it's just dragging on the racetrack. But I mean, I don't see how that's any bit likely. So yeah, I'd imagine it's just maybe a little bit of a connection issue of some sort, or just, some things that aren't actually happening in his POV, it's just everybody else is seeing that. So I don't think you're missing anything. I think it's just it shouldn't be affecting him, obviously, because he's running just as fine.
Well, it looks like it might have cleared up here right on board with Justin Lewis as they go to the inside. A bit of a bobble there from the 81. And that's a rough spot that you don't want to bump there right in the middle of the quad over there. That will definitely set the car a little bit loose. But Kilrow now to the front, in front of Paleshi and Lewis here on the inside.
Yeah, so we have this pack, and something that I just want to casually highlight that we did miss after that pit stops is Poston, who was drafting with Kilrow that whole time, who is now leading this race, but is now back in 9th place, stuck in that second draft here. He came off the pit road way behind Kilrow, so he must have had a little bit of a longer stop there, obviously, compared. But you can see, I mean, he's with Mir right now, so that's a fast 33, but, I mean, they're 4 seconds back, and we still have just over 40 laps to go, so they have time, depending on whether they'll be able to run down the leaders. If not, they may need a little bit more help.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only chance that Mir has, he's got to try and help this pack run down the leaders, because, again, he's been taking early pit stops compared to everybody else all night, so he's going to need more fuel than everybody else on this final pit stop there. They're looking like one more pit stop here. Oh, and that may all be out the window, and you've seen it live right there. We'll take a look at it one more time here.
That was odd. I don't know what just happened there. Let's see.
Looks like the 57 just kind of briefly looked to the outside, and unfortunately he got into him. It looked like he was just trying to maybe get a little air on the front fender, but gets into the back of the 33 here up to the top.
Yeah, there's a couple things that went wrong there. I mean, I don't know if did he try to make a move to be the lead car? I don't see how that would be likely, because that was going to be a very, very difficult pass, especially if you're trying to run down the leaders. You can't afford to pass something that you'll lose even more time on him. But I mean, unless that was just a big misjudgment there, trying to get back in line, maybe hit the bump. Let me see if he hit any bumps at all. No, he just kind of kept driving up there, and you could see Mir he held his line. So I don't know. It's just a fluke deal, I guess.
Yeah, certainly at the very least a misjudgment there from Divers heading into the corner. But not only is it going to bring us under our first caution of the race, but pretty interesting timing of this caution, as I don't think any of these drivers can make it to the end from here. We have a few that stayed out. Looks like Paleshi, Lewis, Tim Williams, and Eric Blunt all staying out here and electing not to come in at least this time by. But, I mean, we haven't seen anybody stretch it out this far all night long. Granted, you're going to have a couple laps under caution here, but Tyler, I think everybody's got to come in at least one more time.
Yeah, I would imagine so, and that's probably what some of the guys that we're seeing who did stay out here, they probably realize, I mean, what's the point? Unless these guys just want to come in and take a fresh set of tires so they don't have to later on their next pit stop, so they can have just a little bit of, shorter time on pit road. So, yeah, I mean, unless they do masterful fuel saving right now, which I don't think you could save that many fuel. I mean, I'm not a mathematician and I'm not a crew chief by any means, but I don't see how that's possible. So yeah, I would think everybody's going to pit at least one more time, but if they did pit for tires so they don't have to later, that I like. That's a good idea.
Well, I mean, here's my question though. Of those front four that decided to stay out, I mean, short of track position, what is the benefit of staying out here? Because, I mean, at the very least, if you come in here, you're topping off on fuel, you have to take less fuel on that one and only pit stop that you have to still make. but you're going to be taking a lot more fuel than these guys that decide to come in. And you see now Tim Williams, one of those four that did stay out, he does come into pit road. And even a few of these guys that already came down pit road are going to come down again and top off, and maybe decide to try and stretch this thing out and try and really get close to me. I think the farthest we've seen that drivers get is about 35, 36 laps on a tank of fuel. If you're saving right from the rip, maybe. I mean, you figure all the time that you're going to lose slowing down, getting into pit lane, getting that little splash of fuel, and then coming back out there, it's a good amount. So maybe you decide to just kind of play it nice and easy, track behind somebody, really clutch in a lot. Maybe you can save a lap or two by the time this thing is over.
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing you mentioned earlier of like, what's the benefit of the guys who did stay out? I mean, the only logical thing that I can think of other than just getting track position, I mean, kind of is track position what I'm about to say, but I'm kind of word it different, is now that we're going to have a restart, you can see everybody's grouped back together. So, and we've only seen one wreck tonight, and it was just two cars based on a misjudgment. So these guys might be thinking, hey, they're about to be all bunched up again. They may wreck in the back. There could be a big one, and we'll get one more yellow. Then we can pit when we want, and we wouldn't have any concerns about fuel. We could just draft a little bit, save a tiny bit in case of maybe any late shenanigans. But right now, I mean, they're just hoping to keep their cars clean, to stay up front, and maybe hope something big happens in the back.
Well, we're about to find out what's going to happen here in the last less than 40 laps at this point, as we are back to green flag racing here at Atlanta. Andrew Pileshi at the front, Justin Lewis right there, now going to dive down to the inside. He's going to leave John Garrett by himself on the outside, but I don't think Garrett minds too much. He's been outside there and using other people for help for quite some time, but a nice little jump here from the 81 to 07 now. Eric Blunt going to join them at the front here, but we do have said caution right there.
Yep, that's a big wreck. I mean, that I think it looked like a little bit of bump drafting going wrong, and that just took out a lot of good race cars. Let's see. Started right here with John Garrett. He was one of the first guys I saw go sideways here.
And I'm wondering if Pratt got a run here, maybe wanted to go to the inside.
Oh.
And tell me Netco wasn't involved. Now it looks like the 57 drifts up a little bit, and
barely got clipped was John Garrett. And Brandon Muir just got hit
as well. Like the 98 getting involved, the 8 there coming in pretty hard, and I think the 76 got on by, brushed the outside wall there a bit, and 19 coming in there pretty hard. He's going to get divers. Then the 31, the Toyota getting involved there as well. And man, that was a little a mini big one here on the backstretch at Atlanta. And well, I guess question answered. Why do you stay out there? Why you want to be in that top 4 to stay out? All right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Forget what I said. That's exactly why.
That's exactly why, because they had a feeling something was going to happen. I mean, if they would have pitted on that last caution, they'd probably be in that, because that was happening, around 5th-ish place or so. So now these guys are just going to get fuel. Maybe I'll top off here next time by here to feel comfortable about making it to the end. So good strategy overall. I like it.
Well, now it is Cade Green at the front. He was involved in this past wreck. I lost my mouse. There it is. And you see that front end smashed in pretty good. So I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure what this plan is. I mean, the other one, okay, now it makes sense after seeing exactly what happened with Cade Green here at the front. I don't know. He's gonna be pushing a lot of air on the front of that 19 there. But it looks like Pileshi, one of those drivers that stayed out on the previous caution, now comes in. And now, Tyler, we're 35 laps to go at the line this time by. I mean, you have to come in if you're ever so close right now. You have to come in for that second time, just top off and just be sure. I mean, we've seen guys only make it, 30, 31 laps if you're out there in the lead. So if you really want to push your car, you may have to give some track position here to make sure you're good to go to the end.
Yeah, might as well. But yeah, obviously he's going to come down pit road. There is no way he's going to be able to run that smooth, especially leading the race. You're going to want to take a chance there. But I don't see anybody else coming to top off. So maybe those guys that did just pit are confident enough Never mind, as I say that, a couple others are going to come in here. But yeah, winding down here with the laps right now. It'll continue to be close. Now from here, outside of just the pit strategy, it's going to be about who will keep their car clean the most, because I mean, that just happened right on the restart. And I mean, hard to tell if it was just a side draft gone wrong, just a racing deal, you know. Tough overall, but you know, we're going to go back racing with 35 to go. And if that giant wreck just happened, I can't imagine how antsy these drivers could be to try to get back to the front.
Well, we are double filed up here again. You got Andrew Alessi, Justin Lewis on the front row, Gordon Larson, Eric Blunt, Dalton Kilrow rounding out your top 5. Then you got Tim Williams, Todd Poston, Michael Pratt, John Garrett, Brandon Muir rounding out your top 10. So some of the drivers that were involved in that one taking their fast repairs are still back out there, still in good shape. But it's going to be all under control here from Andrew Alessi at the front. We've seen him show quite a bit of speed throughout the season here. And his last win not too long ago, well, I guess a little long ago if you include the summer break here, but the last race before the summer break, Alessi won at Pocono. So looking to make it 2 wins in the last 4 races here is Alessi. We're going to go ahead and step aside on this restart, crank these drivers up here, and give everyone out there a little love to hear it.
Green, green, green.
me and Tyler over here just trying to catch our breath during this love to hear it section. I mean, it's I think it's go time here. I mean, it's a bit early, but
You think?
I think these drivers are getting the itch. They're tired of just driving around here nice and clean. And man, it is just, there's a lot of bobbing and weaving around here. And right on cue, we will get another caution here on the front stretch. Looks like Mike Hasty involved, possibly Michael Eden as well.
Okay.
Take a look and see what brought this one out.
Oh my.
And
Oh.
looks like Hasty got a little bit loose. Eden goes below the line, and
Oh, that's interesting.
right there, it ends up starting here on the front stretch.
Not really sure what Michael was trying to do there. I mean, that was I guess he had such a big run there. So he tried to go on the apron to try to avoid it. But the fact that he just kind of turned back up like that onto the racetrack from the apron, I mean, yeah, you can see the check up there, and I guess he just didn't expect it. So
yeah, it looks like Gherardini checks up a little bit, and then Hasty slows down, and I'm not sure.
Block on him though.
It looked like it looked like a little bit of a block there, and then Eden comes up and takes out the 72. It's going to put us under another caution, and now the drivers.
Now is it go time?
Well, it's been for the last 10, 15 laps the way it looks, but I think all these drivers are good to go now on fuel. I don't think there's any kind of issues right now. They're going to all group back up together here, and we do see drivers diving into pit lane, so very interesting. And this could be drivers that held on to a set of tires. This is why it was important for some of these drivers not to use up all their sets of tires. And trying to see here, they have, I thought I noted in here how many sets of tires they have. Not seeing it here, but we see a lot of drivers here in the pit lane. Out comes Kilrow. You got Lewis in there. Looks like Lewis getting at least 2 tires. Now you see the other side going up as well. A lot of drivers coming in. Looks like Kilrow, Boston, and Pratt all coming out there without taking tires, just taking a splash of fuel to make sure they are definitely good to go to the end. Maybe a little extra fuel in case this thing goes green, white, checkered. But Andrew Pileshi, the first one out with fresh tires. Justin Lewis right behind him, Joshua Divers, Todd Merkel, all of them taking new tires on this pit stop. So this could get a little interesting. I mean, get your breaths now, Tyler. Get your breath now. You're under caution. Now's your time to breathe.
I'm not gonna have enough time.
It's about to get a little racy here.
Oh, jeez, this is. See, when you think about what super speedways are like, what is the aggression like, how much fun do you think some drivers are going to have? This final stint that we're about to see is exactly what defines super speedway racing and what makes it so different compared to everything else. Everyone's going to be back together. You got 14 cars on the lead lap. Well, actually, it's about to be 13 because Mir looks like he's out of the race, which is interesting. But yeah, either way, it's going to be 13 cars on the lead lap. I mean, get your popcorn ready, people. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, we've gone almost 100 laps now. We've had a couple cautions here, but now is when it gets down to the nitty gritty. We're gonna have 21 laps to go here on the restart. As the pace car lights are out, it's gonna be Gordon Larson, Tim Williams on the front row, John Garrett, Len McNeese, Dalton Kilrow, your top 5. Then you got Eric Blunt, Michael Pratt, Todd Poston, Justin Lewis, and Andrew Pileshi in the top 10. We got some that stayed out. We got some that came in topped off on fuel. We got some that came in topped off on fuel and topped off on some fresh rubber as well. So we'll see who's got the right strategy here at the end. We'll see if this was our last caution. I mean, these guys are very good here, BBR, but it's go time here at Atlanta. We got about 20 laps to go left in this thing. Who's going to grab a late season win here? Could it be a 6th win for the 41 of Kilrow? Will we see a brand new winner here tonight? We're about to find out in 21 laps. Control car going to be Gordon Larson, but he's not going to be able to get away. This is pretty much super speedway racing here tonight, so you almost don't want to get away on this restart. You want to kind of make sure you have your friends close to you right now, but you're only going to be friends for so long.
Yeah, this is going to be one interesting restart. You have a lot of fast drivers right now. This, I can't even put into words what this is about to be. I'm a little nervous. I'll give it that.
Green.
Well, green flag back in the air. The 0 is back on the loud pedal. Good restart there on the outside from Tim Williams. And he may able to get to the lead here. He will. He's going to slide down in front of Gordon Larson going into turn number 1. Hopefully there's no penalties there for the 45 as he is going to get to the lead. Down the backstretch here, one of the two Canadians in the field, him and Mike Rideout from north of the border. But he is in the lead right now. Here comes John Garrett now on the outside. Looks like Len McNeese may try and join him right in between them and Dalton Kilrow on the outside as well, looking to try and get up through this field. But, I mean, throw a blanket over the top 12 right now. It is very, very close. And it's going to be close, I think, like this all the way to the end. 20 laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. They're doing a really good job pushing there on the outside, but you can see McNeese on the bottom there. He got him back down to the inside, which I like. You know, right now, you asked earlier about which lane's going to be more dominant. At this point in the race, you're going to see a lot more drivers going to be shooting for the bottom because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Say there's a wreck that happens, you have probably a much better chance of avoiding anything on the bottom lane right now. But at the same time, you have issues like the 45 drifting up just a little bit, which could cause an incident as well. But you got to continue to push. These drivers doing a really good job, like pushing Dalton Kilrow to the lead right now on the outside. But the inside is going to be more preferred, probably on the corners as we see it. But the outside, I will say, is going to be better in the straightaways.
Yeah, it looks like the outside is good enough for Kilrow to get back to the front, getting pushed by Justin Lewis. Now, I got to ask you, obviously, you probably prefer to be leading one of these groups, whether it's the inside or the outside, but would you want to be Len McNeese right now, second in line on the inside? I feel like that is pretty much death right now. I mean, you're right there, you're close to the front, you're only one car behind the lead of that inside line, but you can't really go anywhere. You feel like you're boxed in.
Yeah, so the issue with McNeese, I mean, typically if I'm in a super speedway and say I'm in a giant pack, I would definitely like to be the second car on the bottom lane because it kind of gives you a little bit more working room right now. Obviously, the only issue with that is you're main dependent for making the bottom lane go. It's not just the leader of that bottom lane. Obviously, they got to hold a straight line and all that, and you know, try to maybe do a little bit of side drafting as well. But second car in line, you got to be doing all the pushing. You're gonna be the one. Oh my goodness, a little bit of contact in the back. One car got in the wall, so that's gonna disorganize the outside a little bit. But yeah, as I was saying, you're gonna have to do all the pushing right now. As we can see, I believe it's Lewis there on the bottom. They're doing all the pushing right now. Or no, Garrett, excuse me. Yeah, doing all the bottom pushing right now. And also, I mean, in case something weird happens, like you could push the leader out there, but the guy on the outside could try to block too, so I mean that could lead to a mistake as well, and you'd be in the prime position to capitalize. So if you want to be based on safety and capitalizing on something big happening, I like being second car on the bottom, but anywhere else, I don't know. I mean, no spot is safe really.
Well, at what point does it get spicy with drivers trying to get the side drive? Because I mean, the biggest, fastest way to the front, especially at super speedways, is up through the middle. You get that double side draft, and you fly through the field if the lane is open. But right now, 2x2 right now, and I'd be worried going 3 wide here at Atlanta. I'm sure we'll see it at some point here before the end of this thing. With Justin Lewis right now in the lead on the outside, Todd Merkel in second place. But on that inside, you got Garrett pushing Kilrow right now. Len McNeese third in line. You got the 45 right there. Tim Williams fourth in line on the inside. We have got 13 laps to go at Atlanta.
13 laps to go. Crunch time here. Lewis is doing a really good job though, holding that outside lane and keeping it organized. But now the only issue is that he has to really worry about is Merkel there right behind him, and that's going to be, don't push him too far out there, because if you push Lewis out far into the lead, not just clear the bottom, but also clear the second lane as Kilrow with the push in the corner holds on to it. Good save there. But if Merkel can push Lewis into the lead, more contact in the wall, then he could jump to the inside right now and try to take the lead. So everybody's going to try to, you're going to see a lot more slingshots, especially on the outside if they continue to push like this.
And oh, by the way, they're coming up on the lap car of Eden, so we'll see what Eden does here from the front and see if he plays into the mix of this thing at all. Involved in the last caution here, they're going to catch him pretty quickly now onto the quad oval. We've got 11 laps to go here at the line. Lewis leads this one, but by less than a tenth of a second. And we got less than a half a second covering the top 11 cars right now. Michael Pratt just kind of sitting back there. He's got a couple of lap cars in between. Looks like Eden does a smart thing, and kudos to him for dropping down to the bottom. Not going to play a part into this final, so that is a great thing to do right there as a lap car. But it is Kilrow at the front on the inside, Lewis on the outside. Looks like that outside line doing just a little bit more here, but here comes a three-wide battle for the inside, getting spicy there. And somehow Divers finds a way to get to the outside lane there as he was stuck three wide for a second. But that outside line working pretty nicely right now.
Yeah, so they're continuing to push right now. Lewis has obviously been clear most of this time, but it's a matter of time until Merkel gets clear, and then the car behind them gets clear as well. So now that he is leading, he's got to be ready to block too, just in case, you know. We have, 9 laps to go here now, so drivers are going to make a move at any time here, so be ready for something that's going to happen. And obviously, we got to be careful when Garrett's trying to push Dalton Kilrow. There's, my goodness, a little bit of side draft in the back, but that's going to hurt the bottom lane with a little bit of separation now. But it is Kilrow right now, barely hanging on. He's doing really good job of holding that bottom lane, but it's getting dicey with the pushes right now from Garrett.
I feel like we're sitting on the beach right now watching this thing, and I'm not talking about it being nice and calm and relaxing. I'm talking about watching the waves, because it seems like, you know, the outside line gets to the lead, and then the inside line makes a charge, and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth, and now Leshy gets to the inside of Merkel, whether he wanted to or not, and almost gets into Kilrow on the bottom. As, yeah, that's going to break up the pack here for a second. It's going to be 7 laps to go at the line, but that got very close to a big incident, taking out a bunch of drivers, and now Pileshi gets a great run to the inside. He is leader here on the inside line, but Lewis hanging tough on that outside and looking to try and grab another win. They're coming up on the lap car of, unfortunately, Brandon Mir.
Yeah, so now what is Dalton Kilrow going to do? Because now he's the pusher right here. We know, well, okay, good. Brandon Mir is going to hold to the side here, but now he's going to try to split the middle. Is not going to quite
for a
get there.
second.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to. We only have 6 to go, so he's going to continue to try to stay on that bottom. He might make a move there, but he's got to time it just perfect. But with how big the runs are with these cars, they're going to come at any second, and if one driver makes one block, that is just a little nerve-wracking. You never know, but it looks like they're now starting to go 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
3 wide towards the back. It puts Divers on the outside. Now to the inside is Williams, and it looks like the 31 Possum just trying to figure out where he can go. At the front, Leshy gets to the front, just barely ahead of Lewis, but it seems like that outside line just kind of fights back at the right time, and it's almost trying to figure out, and I'm sure that's what these drivers are trying to do right now, both on the outside and inside, is figure out when do I need to get that run to be in the lead at the line, as looked like Kilrow almost was forced to go 3 wide on the inside there, but falls back in line. 4 to go. This thing is far from over.
Yeah, it's going to continue to go. Obviously, we just saw Pileshi make that move from 3rd on the outside, but now it's going to be a matter of who's going to do it next. It looks like Divers is going to be 3rd on the outside, but it's going to be a matter of when does Merkel decide to make the move there. He's been doing a really good job of keeping Lewis strong on that outside and pushing him clear into the lead, but Pileshi right now strong on the inside with the push from Kilrow here with now only 3 laps to go. So they're doing a good job having partners right now pushing, but at some point that luck's going to run out, and it's going to be all drivers for themselves.
I thought on that last lap it looked like Merkel was clear on the inside. I thought maybe we'd pull down, but now it looks like the inside line getting grouped up a little bit better as the 41 all over the backside of the 81. The 66 was right there. Now Pileshi gets pushed up towards the top. Little bump out of the corner. 2 laps to go. Side by side at the line, but we got 2 brand new leaders at the front of the lines. 3 wide for 3rd. as Garrett goes to the inside, a little bit of the curb on, or not the curb, the apron on the inside. But how about this? You wanted to get a little racy. It's race time here at Atlanta. 1.5 laps to go, coming through turn 3 and 4. White flag going to be in the air this time by a bit of a 3-car breakaway, and then 3x3 behind them. Paleshi with the lead at the white.
As they almost wrecked behind multiple times, but yeah, it's a 3-car breakaway right now. Make that forward. Kilroe's going to slide in here, but now everyone's going to try to back up a little bit here. They'll maybe try to push as here goes Lewis, making a move to the outside. He's not going to have any help with him. As where does Kilroe go? He's going to make it 3 wide on the bottom. It's going to go for the lead.
3 wide in turn 3 and 4. Paleshi still sticking there, bumping and banging. They come to the line, side drafting at the line. It's going to be Paleshi by 11 hundredths of a second, or sorry, 11 thousandths of a second. They wreck behind for the top 5. What a finish here at Atlanta.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that everything happened there. That was way too much. Hey, what a move by Kilroe there in turn 3 to get 3 wide on the bottom. But that push for Paleshi up top really secured it. And that was Pasta, I believe, on the bottom that I thought had a shot to win that race based on the momentum there. But it all of a sudden just kind of stalled out a little bit. And then all of a sudden from the top there, it was a side-by-side race, banging to the track. Hey, we just had a 3-wide photo finish at Atlanta back in the spring, and here we go, having it again as there goes the wreck from behind there. Cars all into the wall, 3-4 wide, upside down. My goodness gracious.
What a finish here. Paleshi wins by 0.011 over Dalton Kilroe. Todd Posson does a fantastic job. He grabs 3rd place, and only by... I think about the same one. We'll go back live here to take a look at what the finish is and take a look at Paleshi burn it down. But yeah, look at the gap between that 3rd and 4th, only 0.016. So it may have taken 120 laps for them to get to it, but goddamn if they didn't get to it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my goodness gracious. Yeah, everybody's doing it. There's Kilroe there. Probably thought he won there for a second. I wouldn't doubt it. He had the big run on the inside, but they were doing that beating and banging. They were side drafting a little bit. It was a really clean side-by-side battle there. Drivers going for every spot possible there. Yeah, tons of fun. Great racing there. Great finish at the end. Wild wreck as well there, but yeah, tons of fun.
Well, it took a little bit to get the broadcast going here tonight. It took a little bit to get me in here. It took a little bit to actually get live. It took some time to get Tyler in here. It was all worth the wait. And Tyler, your first experience here of the VVR Cup Series, pretty nice, right?
Yeah, very much. I absolutely loved it. You know, you just said it. You said it earlier. I mean, this is my forte. I love oval racing. Next gen cars are not the easiest thing in the world. I'll give it that. I'm more of a truck Xfinity guy, but still, I mean, these cars are absolutely wild. I love seeing them race at super speedways. You know, drivers taking the run, doing everything they can. I mean, fantastic. This league, what a great first impression for me.
Well, we got our top 3, or at least our top 2. We can pull Andrew Paleshi in here in a bit, but our podium finishers here tonight are ready to hop in here and get interviewed. And man, I think I need to catch my breath just a little bit before we start to do that. But let's go ahead and bring it back here. And first one we'll bring in here is going to be the 3rd place finisher, the 31 of Todd Posson. And Todd, I think that our first impressions were the back of your car as we hopped on board with another car and looking at that back bumper, the Toyota. Great paint scheme, first of all, but man, a little super speedway racing here at Atlanta. What a finish!
Oh yeah, that was great. These guys, they put on a heck of a race for not being a group that runs super speedways a lot. They showed up tonight.
So talk to me about I mean, really the entire race. A lot of green flag racing, but some of the cautions kind of coming at some funky times there, and you had to try and make some decisions on pit road as to if you're going to come in, when you're going to come in, if you're just taking a splash, if you're taking tires. So, you know, how did that throw a little wrench into the mix there with the cautions around 40 laps to go?
Yeah, we were actually gonna make it there on that last run, but I was working with Dalton tonight. Neither of our teams had showed up, so we kind of just formed an alliance right there to run, and we were good for the end. And then that caution came out, and we came in to get it and make sure we could have any green-white checkers if we needed to.
Well, you find your way at the front at the end of this thing, and really you need to be in the mix there for a chance. But you took some opportune times to make your way into the right lines, and how important is it? I mean, obviously when you get to tracks like Talladega, Daytona, the actual super speedway tracks, it's a little bit wider out there, and you can really just try to define the line that you want to go to, the inside, the middle, the top, or even four wide. But here it's a little tighter at Atlanta, and you have to really pick your poison.
Oh yeah, the track position on this track, if you're not in that first like 10 cars or so and you've got 2 or 3 laps to go, you're probably not going to finish in the top 10 at that point, just because like you said, you don't have that third line or fourth line that people need. But this group actually, I mean, I think we ran 3 wide for a lap or 2 there at the end, and it went fine, so they did pretty good.
Fine. I'm sure a lot of tight sphincters. It was definitely some close racing for sure, but you get it done here tonight. You grab a 3rd place. So, I mean, it's got to feel good coming towards the end of the season, grabbing a podium before the end.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely does. And I haven't been a big fan of the car, but the car actually did really well on this track tonight.
Well, congrats again on the 3rd place here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, just got to shout out Dalton again for working with me, and shout out Tim and everyone for the league that we run and put on together, and you guys for broadcasting.
All right, well, congrats again on the 3rd place. We'll let you go celebrate with the boys and catch your breath a little bit.
Todd, I have to give you this, obviously, before you have to go, because I've been waiting to say this joke. May the force be with you. Oh, that feels so good to get out.
Thank you, sir.
He's been holding back quite a bit. All right, Ty, we'll send you down there to the guys.
Thank you.
That's your 3rd place finisher here tonight, the 31 of Todd Poston. 2nd place tonight, Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take the 41 of Dalton Kilbro?
All right, Dalton, it's Tyler and Carl up here in the booth. You got us.
Yes, sir.
Well, Dalton, I will say you gave us a lot to talk about right there, especially on the last lap. First off, before I even talk about anything in the race, I just want to talk about that last lap. You made a fantastic bonsai move there into turn 3 going 3 wide, and it was for the lead. It was fantastic. You did really good. You almost had a push there into turn 4, but just losing it just by minuscule of inches right there. Take me through that wild last lap.
Yeah, I knew coming off a 4 to take the white, I knew I had a push. I think the 31 was behind me. And I was just going to kind of see what happened. I knew the front 3 were all teammates, so they were probably going to wait. But they didn't end up waiting until coming off a 4 to go for it. They started fighting off a 2, and then I got one massive run out of the corner, and they just didn't block it. So I was in full send mode at that point, and then just needed a little bit more through 3 and 4 to be able to hold on to it. Probably could have doored the 81 a little bit, but after the finish last week where he got dropped from the sim, coming to 2 to go leading, I was like, I'm not going to make this man have to deal with that again. I'm just going to get to the line. And hey, I'll take 2nd. Still a good points night, still led some laps. Didn't have a clean race, unfortunately. Had a couple of incident points, but still, again, good points night, and should extend the championship lead a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely a good race overall for you there. You ran really well. You're consistently a strong top 5 car there. We saw you leading a few of the lines there. That's something that's really important for the super speedway racing, either being the pusher or, being the car being pushed. Now, I'm curious, based on your driving style, in these types of races, what do you think is a better advantage, being the pusher or being pushed?
I would say being the pusher is the better way to go, just because I think you guys could even see it when I was pushing the 66 when we were running the top there towards the end of that first long green flag run. You could get such a run on the guy in front of you that if I really had felt like it, I could have just said, well, I'm just going to pass you low here. But it's entirely on you and the 3rd car in line to be able to keep that line moving, which thankfully we were able to get some out of team communication and just kind of non-verbally say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and just kind of went with it. No, I personally, I feel like I'm a better pusher than I am when it comes to being pushed, because when I'm being pushed, the line I want to run isn't the line the pusher wants to run, and we end up getting separated and crap like that. But no, I just like pushing guys, and I tend to do pretty decent at it. So stick to your guns.
Yeah, definitely really showing to do. And one of the other things early in the race that I wanted to highlight quick as well is that you guys, it was kind of tough to tell when it comes to the strategy. Obviously, these late cautions kind of hurt it a little bit, but was there any type of big fuel saving that you guys are maybe doing, and maybe how much the tires were also maybe having an effect on the car?
No, not really any fuel saving. I mean, I knew riding kind of in the back of the pack, just kind of chilling out, I could have gone 36, maybe 37 laps, but wouldn't have even been worth it to try to stretch even more. I mean, if you could have gone 40 laps or run, you could have cut a pit stop out, but around here, you're on throttle so long, it's going to be impossible to save that extra 2 laps. On top of what you're already saving by just riding half throttle in the pack using the draft. Tires definitely were a big deal tonight compared to any other super speedway. I know when I did end up taking tires at the end of that second green flag run, they were in like the low 80% range, I want to say, but you could definitely feel the tire wear. Guys on the bottom couldn't really hold it down there as well, carry the momentum, so that's why the top started to prevail as much as it did. Was hoping it could have gone green, but hey, it's Atlanta, it's super speedway racing, stuff happens.
Well, good run overall for you there in the second position. Any quick shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, I got to thank Gold Line Guardians, Hilton Crafts and Designs, Fort Worth Screen Printing, MFRD for the paint. Wish there were a couple more MFRD guys out here tonight, but I had to do my best Ricky Stenhouse impression and try and find lone wolf with trying to find help from other teams as I could. And then obviously you guys for doing the broadcast, and everybody else for putting on one damn good race, because that was, even though it sucks to lose by that little bit, it's still fun to be a part of, and glad we could at least make it to the line and not wreck one more time.
Well, Dalton, we really appreciate your time there. Tough finish there to swallow, but still a really well-deserved P2. Go ahead, celebrate with all the team, and we'll see you next race.
10-4. Thank you, guys.
That is your second place finish here tonight, the 41 of Dalton Kilroe. Last but not least, the 81 of Andrew Paleshi. Andrew, the computer, the internet, lasts 120 laps tonight, and man, you needed it to.
Especially after that, man. My God.
Yeah, I can't say the shorts lasted 120. I'm sure it was it's a little tight, a little sketchy there at the end, but. No. Man, it looked like you were kind of implying or employing the super speedway, kind of strategy, just hanging in the back there. You're kind of in the back there of the 16-17 car breakaway there in the beginning of the race, and just kind of hanging back there until those first couple pit stops. But you really kind of bingoed that first pit stop, and he got out there and he went from 17th to I think. Either first or third, right after the rip. So, did that shock you that you came out that much better than everybody else?
Yeah, it definitely did. I missed qualifying. That's why I started so deep, and I was just once that happened, I was just trying to save fuel. And I ran a lot of plate tracks where you green flag stops, so I'm used to kind of pitting under green, and the whole turn 3 rule tonight kind of helped too. So I feel like I gained a good bit of ground there, and that. Yeah, I was flabbergasted when I seen I was in the lead, and that just kind of set off the whole night. So,
talk to me about the finish. Obviously, I mean, you're out there, you're in the lead, everybody's chasing you down, and there's a lot of guys that look at the strategies different way and don't want to be in the lead at the white flag, and don't want to be in the lead going down that backstretch, but you were, and you were able to hold off Dalton Kilroe. He tried a haymaker there on the inside, went 3 wide just to get to alongside you, and even had the lead briefly in turn 4. What were you thinking? Were you thinking, last week the internet, and now this week last lap turn is going to screw me?
I wasn't even thinking about the internet. All I was
That's a good thing. Oh, Andrew, did we lose you?
Hello?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
The talk does that. I gotta fix that. Anyways, I was watching the mirror. I won the NIS race here back in the spring by just covering the top, and that's all I was trying to do there. And so I was just watching the mirror to make sure nobody was either gonna like run me 3 wide there, and I had help on the middle outside lane, whatever you want to call it. I didn't even realize. I just now looked at the replay. I didn't even realize they got 3 wide and all that. Dalton drove his ass off. Wow.
Yeah, he did anything and everything just to get alongside there and give you a little thought of losing you here. But you get your 4th win now on the season. A couple races left. We got Indy and Iowa left on the schedule. What are you feeling? Do you feel like you can maybe grab win number 5 here before this thing ends?
I'm gonna try. I mean, I feel really good at Indy and pretty much any car. So I think that's pretty good. Iowa has never been one of my stronger tracks, but that's a lot like you drive that place kind of a lot like Gateway, and I did pretty decent there. I'm not trying to go out here and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go out here and shut the lights out, or I came into this league thinking I was like a 15th car at best, but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. It's just been a really good series of tracks for me. Like everybody probably, or some people probably think, oh, this dude just shows up and wins, and like I don't know. Like the first one I won, like I said, I lucked into that. Like yep. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, either way, you're starting to turn heads one way or another, and with 2 races left, you still have a chance to tie the most wins on the season, and even have the most wins on the entire season if you win both of them to finish this thing out. And with the Smart Food popcorn paint scheme, I mean, you have to run well at Iowa. It just makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. I never thought of that. There's the pressure.
Exactly. I'll tune it up for you here. Well, congrats on the finish here tonight. Congrats on the win. It realistically should have been back-to-back here. Have you not had the internet issues last week? But either way, you get it done here tonight. You get to burn it down at Atlanta. So congrats on the win. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
First and foremost, as always, you guys do a great job. My team, we put together a great race there. Todd came back from, I think, a lap down. He sped on pit road, I think, on the second stop, and he drove his ass off. He caught up a couple breaks, and he was right up there at the end. Justin, of course, I'm a little sad that I kind of had to drop down on him there to make it happen. The whole thought process was just to put one car in each lane and one of us will win it, and I just happened to be that guy. He was a lap or 2 or a move or 2 away from doing it. And so shout out to them guys, and the field, though. There was a couple of moves there that were a little hairy I made, so shout out to you guys as well for not just kicking my ass and putting up with it. So, yeah. It was a good race, very good race, especially for, I think the Cup Series at least, the first super speedway race. Or plate race, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it was fantastic to watch, especially right there at the end, and you get it done here tonight. Congrats again on the win. We'll see you next week at Indianapolis.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
That's your winner here tonight, the 81 of Andrew Peleshian. Yeah, the reschedule from July 18th, Indianapolis is going to be next week, and that'll be a fun 120 laps there at the famed Brickyard. And then we finish it out at Iowa. Just 2 races left in the schedule, and honestly, I don't want this thing to be done. It's been some fantastic racing this season, and I mean, it's getting better and better at the end here. And Tyler, I guess you're welcome for bringing me in for this one.
Yes, I very much appreciate it. This was a lot of fun to hop in here. I had a ton of fun. These cars are wild. The series is wild. I absolutely love it. Hopefully I can come back to do a few more because, yeah, I very much enjoyed this.
Well, that is going to do it for us here in the CRN booth. It's been another fantastic race. I want to send a thank you out to the series sponsors, Goldline Guardians, Fort Worth Screen Printing, and Hilton Crafts and Designs. And thank you to Tim Lee and everything that he does here for BVR. And certainly get in touch with them, because season 2 is not going to be that far around the corner, and they're already starting to ramp up and starting to get some ideas and thinking about season 2. So now's your time to get in here and race with all these great racers here in the Virtual Velocity Racing. But for Tyler Scozen and myself, Carl Handwerk, we'll see you at the track.